Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Beyond Books. I'm your host. I'm Renee, co-host Raina, and today's the day that I'm going to answer your questions. That's right. About a week or two ago, if you recall, I had asked for questions from viewers and subscribers to celebrate attaining 1,000 subscribers. And I'm going to attempt to answer all of them today in this video. There are quite a few, and there are quite a few really good ones. So Raina's got her snack. I've got my coffee. So let's get started. Now, these are in no particular order, okay? First one is from BJ Minton. She is a longtime watcher and frequent commenter on my videos. And her question is this: do you have other favorite legal mystery authors besides Grisham and Rosenfeld? I would say yes. Another legal author that I've read a lot from is Michael Connelly. He wrote Lincoln Lawyer, as most of you probably know, which was made into a movie famously starring Matthew McConaughey, who later advertised Lincoln cars on TV. So, yeah, I would say I've read actually quite a bit from Michael Connelly as well. And now the next question is Raina your first dog? And the answer is absolutely not. Here we have a Shetland sheepdog. She's a purebred Shetland sheepdog. Her name was Bonnie. We had her and another Sheltie, this one named Toby. We had them through the 90s. So here's a picture of them together. They were very pretty. Bonnie and Toby. And then we also found this dog as a pup. He was a very large pup. To show you the size, here's me with him about 25 years ago or so. I'll pull it back a little so you can see the whole thing. He's quite a good size. We think that maybe he had been thrown from a car or maybe fell off the back of a truck somehow. But, there was really no permanent damage done. And he turned out to be a great dog. He grew to be over 90 pounds. And as you can see, he was probably a shepherd mix. We had another little shepherd mix in the early 2000s. This dog is another male. His name was Lucky. And Lucky was a very difficult and challenging puppy to train. But he also turned out to be a very good dog eventually. He was an active little guy, very healthy, and he lived a long life. This is him at Christmas time, wearing his little Christmas clown outfit. In early 2014, we found a purebred Yorkie, just kind of wandering the neighborhood in the rain. I may or may not be able to find a picture of her. If so, I will put it up. We had never seen her before. She was in desperate shape, very thin. She had a seizure disorder that we discovered later. She was also very old when we found her. We were told that she was probably over 15 years old. But we did have her for 2 years, and she did okay. And now we have Raina. So another question from BJ now. Do you read at a regular time every day or just when the mood hits? Well, I usually read early in the morning when I wake up, and then usually again later in the day. Kind of the times when it's a little bit quieter and there just aren't as many distractions or other things to be done. So thank you, BJ, for those questions. And now we have questions from Uncommon Reader. That's Daniela. She says, what type of videos do you prefer doing on your channel, and what kind of videos do you prefer watching from other booktubers? I like to do actually my non-book related videos, which sounds kind of funny, but let's put it this way. I'm glad I chose this style of booktubing where I include some non-bookish videos. The reason is that the bookish videos can, maybe start to seem a little bit routine. And then the other videos kind of come in and just sort of break things up a little bit, and just in that way kind of feel a little more like just fun, just for fun. So after that, I would say my probably next favorite type of video to do would be the tags. And that's for the same reason. They're just, kind of fun to go through the prompts and, see what your answers might be. So from other booktubers, I like to watch usually book hauls and wrap-ups. That gives me some ideas, maybe of some book recommendations. And I'll gladly watch, also an in-depth review, as long as it's about a book that I'm interested in or have read or even maybe have reviewed myself, because it is interesting to kind of see what other people think. So I probably wouldn't watch like an in-depth review of a book that I just don't really feel like I have that much interest in. So those are Daniela's questions. Thank you, Daniela. Now the next question is from JanetReading, and she asks, my question is, will you give us a book tour? Now, Janet Reading has asked about this before, as well as other people. And the answer about a bookshelf tour is that I have nothing against doing it. I will do it, but I haven't for two reasons. Now, one is that I really don't have right now that many books. I give them away. I bring them to library, little free library, etc., when I'm done with them. Also, I do quite a few book haul videos, so I kind of feel like what the books that I've had I've already shown. Plus, I sometimes show them in tag videos, even though they're a book that maybe I haven't gotten to yet. But there are books that you haven't seen that would be on my shelves that, might be of interest to people. So I'm going to do an unhaul very soon, clearing out many that I've already read. And I'm going to do a vlog with that. And then the shelves can be maybe a little bit better organized. And I can do a bookshelf tour video that will be more coherent and, hopefully a little bit better for viewers. So thanks, Janet, for reminding me about that. Silversparkles had a question. She asks, what author would you most like to meet no matter what century? Well, I guess in all things said, I'm a woman of simple tastes. And so I'm just going to say John Grisham. He lives in Virginia, so it is very possible that it could happen that I could meet him. I would love to actually run into him somewhere. People say that he's very kind and that he will sign a book for you and be very gracious. So that would be fun. Or maybe I could just even go to a book signing that he's at. But again, it's very possible. That would be awesome. And of course, we can all come along by video and see what my meeting with Mr. Grisham was like. So that would make it even more fun. So thank you, Silversparkles, for that question. Next question is by Stuart Griffin. His channel is called Stuart Griffin. And I will put links to all of these channels in the description below. And he asks if there are any genres, question right, sorry, that I used to like but no longer read. And now I saw this question a little bit earlier, and I really thought about it, but I would have to say no. When I was younger, I liked the same types of books that I like now. Thrillers, memoirs, travel, adventure, in nonfiction, kind of more along the lines of biography and science books, or books based on science things, science related types of things. Um, so I would say no, there's really nothing that I used to read, but I no longer do. Um, yeah. And then he also asked, are there any genres that you haven't read from, but you would like to? Now, I really don't read a lot of fantasy, but I mean, I have. I've read, The Hobbit and all of the Lord of the Rings and, that kind of thing. I don't read a lot of romance, but every once in a while I do. And I don't really read that much horror, but then again, I do sometimes as well. And I will. There's some authors in horror that I really like. Um, some that I absolutely don't read, I probably really don't want to. So that doesn't really fit the question is, are there any genres that you haven't read from, but that you would like to? Though a lot that I haven't read, I probably don't have that much interest in. So, yeah, I would say no. Have you read consistently your whole life, or were there periods when you got away from reading? That's a good question. I have read my whole life. But, just like anybody else, I'm sure there are definitely periods where I read less than I, for instance, do now. Because of work and family or obligations, things like that. There were periods where I listened to books on audio, way more than I read, because of just lifestyle, time constraints. They're great to listen to while you're commuting and things like that. But I always read at least a few books each year. So thanks, Stuart. Those were all good questions. So next is my 100th subscriber and his wife, who is my 1000th subscriber. I'm talking about Scott from Some Other Character, which is another great channel. So you should take a look. And again, there will be links. So his questions are these. Number one, what's your favorite non-BookTube channel to watch on YouTube? So your favorite non-BookTube channel that you watch on YouTube. I think I've mentioned this before. It would be Ghost Town Living with Brent Underwood. Overall, that one is really a go-to for me. I also like Adrienne at Yoga with Adrienne. She's my go-to for kind of like indoor exercise. On days when, I don't go to the gym, it's really not a good day to go out walking, things like that. Also lately I've been watching, or to be more exact, listening to handpan and tongue drum music as a background while reading. And there are a few craft channels that I watch, mainly related to diamond painting, which is one of the crafts that I do. I talked about that before. So then Scott also asked, what's your desert island book and movie? Well, I almost was tempted to say Where the Crawdads Sing. But I think having that on a desert island might just lead to more feelings of isolation. So I wouldn't pick that one. I think Chocolat, the book and the movie, would be a good one. It would keep me definitely in a better mood. One book I wouldn't get bored with on a desert island would probably be the Oz series and the movie as well, because I like both of them, The Wizard of Oz, and I would need the series of Oz books to really stay engaged with that. But yeah, I think those would be good on a desert island for sure. His next question is, what did you want to be when growing up? And it was really all kinds of things. It would flip flop back and forth between things like, I guess, a lot of children do. Overall, I do remember, though, wanting to be an astronaut for a very long time. Of course, at the time, there were no female astronauts, but I mean, I just thought that it was a matter of time, and sure enough, it kind of was. So I was fascinated by space travel and those science kinds of things related to it. And like a lot of the kids who grew up in my decade, I loved Lost in Space, Star Trek, those kinds of shows. And I followed our actual space program. I mean, we did at school. We were always very proud of it at that time. It was really something to be admired back then. So I'm still interested in it, really. I was a big fan of Kennedy Space Center when I lived in Florida. Went there several times and always enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. It's a great place to go. Thanks, Scott, for those questions. And now we have several questions from the fabulous Pat at Book Chat with Pat. And let's see what Pat has to say. She asks, what kind of nursing did you do in your nursing career? Well, my bedside career, as far as doing that type of nursing, was mainly in pediatrics. I was one of the few people in my nursing class who actually knew exactly where they wanted to go. And for me, that was pediatrics. And I never regretted that choice. I thought it was a good choice for me. Later in my career, I worked in like discharge planning and case management. So I was the one at the hospital to get things organized and approved and set up for discharge so that people could get back home and, continue their journey to get better. So that was a good and important job as well. Number 2 is you've lived in many places around the country. Do you have a favorite region and why? Well, yep, it's true that I have lived in several different places. I kind of like all of them for different reasons, really. It's hard for me to pick like an overall favorite. I am from New England originally. Later I moved out west. It's out west and back east, right? I was able to travel all around the west of America, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Montana, went to lots of national parks. So for outdoor travel, I would say that, west is best. There's a lot out there to see in terms of natural beauty. Then I returned to the eastern part of the country, but this time to Florida. And that was fun because of the family I have there. We raised our daughter there. Donna and I have an adopted daughter. So it was fun to be, around the Disney parks and other theme parks and have the beaches handy, during that time in our life. Now here in Virginia, kind of feel like I have a little bit of all of it, really. And so, I guess I would just say, to everything, there is a season. So her third question is, what are your automatic buy authors? Now, I think this was actually a question on a tag. Excuse me, but it was a little while ago. So I couldn't really name any auto buy authors. So instead, I'll say auto interest authors, meaning I have an interest in their books, but not necessarily buy them at least right away. I just kind of file the info and, buy it at the next maybe good opportunity to do so, or if I really need a book, or maybe I can even get it from the library if, the queue isn't too long or something like that. So there are certain authors that I will, definitely make sure I know when their new books are coming out and things like that, but maybe not automatically buy them right away. Is there a genre you really haven't explored yet and you would like to? So that's kind of similar to Stuart's question. And again, nothing really comes to mind. Not that I'm against trying anything new. Now, I did try graphic novels. That did come to mind for the first time this past year. I like them. Flamer, Genderqueer, Heartstopper, and the series called March, which is about John Lewis. I read those books last year, and that genre was new to me. And yeah, I liked graphic novels. Who knew? I didn't know that. Number 5, how did you get into micro gardening? Well, I had a little, outdoor garden in Florida, which was, flowers, herbs, and occasionally, once I started having more time, I grew, some tomatoes, cucumbers, kale, things like that. And I would always look up info on gardening on YouTube just to learn a little bit more and see what other people are doing. And there I saw people who were growing the microgreens, and they looked so beautiful. And they were, talking about how nutritious they were and how easy they are to grow. And, they're mostly grown indoors, really. And that kind of led to starting an indoor garden. And that led to learning about hydroponics. And that led to the aero gardens. So in Florida, it was great to grow stuff, during the summer when it was too hot outside. And here it's great to grow stuff indoors during the winter. So just always kind of remained a interest of mine. And I've been doing it for, I don't know how long now, probably a good 7 or 8 years. So yeah, it's fun. Good questions, Pat. Thank you. Next, it's Mimi Duong. And here are Mimi's questions. She asks, what have you learned during the time you've been on BookTube? I've learned to be more comfortable in front of the camera. I've learned how not to do audio, and a little bit about how to do audio. But most important, I've learned that I have something to contribute, and that feels very good for someone who, did have an active career and has an active life, but is now retired. Retirement is still pretty recent for me, at least full retirement. So it's really important to feel like you're still contributing. And that's what this feels like to me. It's an important way to do it, I think, because it's only me and the co-host, of course, but it's up to us to, make the channel what it is and what it can be. So really, I've learned some valuable lessons from BookTube. So then she asks, what are your goals for 2025 in terms of BookTube? Wait for a moment. My goals are to keep it up, really. Kind of more of the same, but because I don't really feel right now like a shift or anything like that is warranted at this time. In fact, it's kind of in a way the opposite. I mean, I've done a lot of different things. I've tried out a lot of different things, sometimes just as an experiment, if anything. So, yeah, I mean, no major changes, just kind of more of the same. And if there's a type of video that any of you really, want to see or want to see more of, please let me know. Maybe it's something that I haven't done previously, or, like I say, something you just want more of, let me know. I want to continue to read a variety of books. I get, I want to get as many early releases as, is reasonable and what I can. I like doing the early releases and new releases. I've gotten a few indie books worked in now. And I think that kind of keeps things fresh. And I do try to bring out the camera with me wherever I go as much as possible. And again, that's all just in the interest of trying to keep everything fresh. So, buddy reads too. I have several of those coming up, and those are really fun, and it's fun to do things with different people and different types of books. So, thank you, Mimi, for your questions. Next are some questions from SandyTCF. She had some questions about where I live, meaning, basically the area of the U.S. She's in Canada, so she just had some questions about the weather and kind of like the location of the state. And I answered that, those basically in the comments section for you, Sandy. So hopefully I answered your questions. I have a lot of videos actually from different locations in Virginia. Williamsburg, Yorktown, Jamestown, Surrey, Richmond, and the Shenandoah. I think you might have seen that one. Those definitely showcase the area and maybe give you a better idea of what the area is like. It is very rich in history. So I'll link a playlist that I have, and it's called On Location Videos. And if you want to take a look there to see if there's anything you might have missed that, would give you some more idea about the area, then that would be a good place to, to take a look. She also asked, have you always been a reader? And my answer to that would be definitely yes. My mom was a reader, and she basically taught me to read even before I went to school. So I feel like that kind of always kept me ahead a little bit as far as, when you get the reading grade level in school, that kind of always kept me ahead of the game. But moreover, and really more importantly, it was always something that I enjoyed. So I always, wanted to do it and was motivated to do it. So then she asked also what motivated you to start a YouTube channel. And I'm going to say that the person who did that was Criminali. That's the name of the channel. His name is Ollie, and I was watching his channel one day, a little over a year ago now, and he was talking about how he started his channel and how he felt there was, room on YouTube for more voices within the BookTube community. And I thought, you know what? I think I want to try that. He was very positive about the community and very encouraging, as he is. And the next thing I knew, I was getting out the camera and I was signing up for Book of the Month. So I would be sure that I'd always have some new books to talk about. So yeah, that's kind of how that got started. What other booktubers would you recommend? Well, everyone that I've mentioned so far and that I'm going to mention after, definitely would recommend. All the ones. There are a lot of great booktubers out there. Criminali, as I mentioned. There are several others that I interact with all the time. Ellen May Book Club. Kelly Loves Books and Movies. I find new booktube channels every day that impress me and that I've never discovered before. I know that just yesterday I honestly must have subbed to at least 5 new channels that were new to me. I had never been on there before. On the weekends, MJ at Reading This Life will shout out new channels, and they're always worth a look. So that's a good way to kind of stay on top of new things coming out in the BookTube community, new channels. Good questions. Thank you. Now, helenclaire, who is a frequent commenter and watcher of my videos, so thank you, Helen, has a couple of questions. One is, you meet an author on a dog walk with Raina. The author is so taken with Raina, they decide to write her into one of their books as a sidekick. Be a good sidekick, Raina. who would you be most excited for that author to be? That is a great question. But in a way, it's kind of an easy question in the sense that something came to mind almost right away for me. And that is Shelby Van Pelt. In this book, Remarkably Bright Creatures, if she can anthropomorphize, I hope I said that right, an octopus, meaning give it human characteristics, then just think what she could do with Raina. It'd be amazing. Raina's already so expressive. I mean, it really should be easier. And I think that would be very, very good. So thanks for that wonderful question, Helen. That's a good one. Next question is from Funkyffi. What's your favorite thing about having a YouTube channel? This is another great, but really kind of obvious question in some ways. The interactions that I have with everyone. That is my favorite thing about BookTube. I love so many of the other booktubers. We always talk about what a great community is, but of course, every viewer who reaches out to me through the comments, questions, recommendations, suggestions, I mean, it's just fantastic. And I never worry that people are being sarcastic or insincere really in any way. I think most people who take the time to watch my videos and leave a comment are doing so because they want to be a part of it, and they are. I hope they feel like they are. I really want to keep it that way. I'm not here to argue or be critical about things or anything like that. I think, I've shown that I can take a suggestion or a correction if I've made a mistake. And I'm here for the love of books and just have fun. Those are really the two goals. So this is my idea of fun. And if you're here, it's probably your idea of fun too. So thank you for your question. Next one is from Jess Book Girl TV. And it says, what was the toughest book that you read last year? And why was that book tough? This is a really good question. Excuse me for a moment. And for that, I'm going to say the toughest book I read last year was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I had never read Toni Morrison before, and that book, I think in particular, is a very emotional book. There are just little things and little incidences in the book that take on a significance, and the general themes of racism, the violence towards the main character and the others in the book, her humiliation and her sense of inferiority. It just makes the book very difficult in an emotional way. And it's also a banned book. And it was one of the first ones I read and reviewed for the year. I think I read it in February, so it was difficult to do a review and to do it justice. So I hope I did. I did enjoy the book. It ended up to be one of my favorites of the year. But yeah, a difficult book to read. So the next question is from Debs at Raina Read Stuff. She says, you are spending the evening with 5 characters from history. They can be authors, but not necessarily. And who are those 5 people? That's a great question. I'm going to choose John Steinbeck, Jack Kerouac, Eleanor Roosevelt, Annie Oakley, and Anne Frank. We're going to have a party. And I think there would be some very lively discussion and entertainment at that party. And Debs, I hope you can make it as well, because I think you would fit right in. We can make pumpkin cookies, and we can have a great time. I love that question, so thank you. The next question is from Brian at Adventures in Literature. This is another great channel. And again, everybody who submitted questions, if you want to subscribe to them or to each other's, whatever, do so because these are all great channels. And he asks, who are your top 5 authors? And I'm going to say Patricia Cornwell, John Steinbeck, John Grisham, Jack Kerouac, and Stephen King. I would say that those 5 are authors that I probably have read the most from. In some cases, I read many of their books, like Patricia Cornwell and John Grisham. I've read quite a bit of Steinbeck. It's been a long time, but I read a lot of Kerouac when I was younger. And of course, Stephen King, through the years. I mean, yeah, there's a lot I haven't read of his, actually, but a lot that I have as well. So, now, usually they're also the ones that, like, if I find a book in a used bookstore, that's one of theirs, I'll, have to kind of double check and make sure that it's something that I've already read, or if not, then, there's a good chance that I'll go ahead and buy it. So yeah, those are definitely some good ones. And, I've read a lot from them. So the next question is from Philip at A Poet Reads to Write. Now, he's BookTube's most enthusiastic booktuber. And Philip appreciates a good book on many levels. His channel is very entertaining. And he asks, how has being on BookTube changed your reading habits and tastes? Well, I would say more so than changed. I would say that my habits for reading and my tastes in reading have deepened. It's caused my reading to be more intentional, rather than saying, well, this book is nearby, I'll just grab it and read it. Instead, I kind of plan things out a little bit more. I try to keep my audience in mind. I try to get a balance of genres, new books, old books, long books, short books. So, maybe a little bit more planning and intention, and kind of thought afterwards as to what I might say about that book in a video. But still, I always say that I follow my heart, and basically, I still do. I can honestly say that I enjoy the reading more now as a booktuber. So thanks, Philip. Good question. A viewer asked how to spell Raina's name, and it is spelled Raina. She does come from Puerto Rico, and initially it was spelled Reigne, meaning queen in Spanish, but I thought I would spell it more phonetically. She doesn't really care, actually, how you spell it. She's just happy to be included. So thanks for that clarification and for including her. That question was from Lisag. So the next question is from Kat at Ginger Bibliophile, and she loves Raina too. So her question is also about Raina. She asks, how does your co-host feel about her BookTube celebrity? Okay, sorry. She asked, how does Raina feel about her BookTube celebrity status? And, I have to say she's over the moon about it. She loves doing videos. It's to a point where even if I just, come in here to do anything on the computer at all, she comes in and she sits on the bed just like she is now, hoping to be included in the video. And of course, hoping for snacks as well. She gets at least as many comments as I do. And sometimes I'm not sure which one of us the comment or question is directed towards. But, you know, I just kind of do my best to answer it if possible. And I think some people just, you know, watch her. They don't watch me. They just watch her. But, you know, that's fine. That's no problem. Does she have a favorite book or segment? I would say that her favorite segment would be probably one that I made a little over a year ago now. And it was a story of how we got her and a little about her backstory, which I don't know a lot about. It is book related in a way because I found out that she could be the same type of dog that Old Yeller was. Old Yeller was played by a golden lab in the movie. However, in the book, in its description and according to the area where he lives and things like that, there is a strong possibility that he is a blackmouth cur. And if you look up blackmouth cur on the internet, if you Google it, you'll see a dog that looks very, very similar to Raina. So now, oddly, they don't have to have a black mouth area to be called a blackmouth cur. Raina happens to, but Old Yeller does not. So I'll put a link to that video below, and you can see the one that I'm talking about. So thanks, Kat, and congrats to you. Kat just went over 700 subscribers, so congrats. Next question is from Candy, Soul, and Soil. The question is, if Raina was a book genre, what would that be? Well, she definitely has a sense of humor. She's warm and she's caring. She loves her friends. She's definitely a character, no question about that. But overall, she also has a touch of mystery because I, again, don't know much about her story. So I think that she would fit the description of maybe like literary fiction, definitely with humor and, you know, with quite a bit of action thrown in and a very engaging and lovely protagonist. So that was a fun question. Thank you. The next one is from Paper Pages and Possibilities. They asked about auto-buy authors. I had that similar question earlier, and I said, you know, maybe not so much auto-buy as auto-interest. Patricia Cornwell, John Grisham, more recently, Frederick Bachman, Kate Alice Marshall, and I think that S.A. Cosby will get into this category as well, possibly even Colson Whitehead. If any of them release a book, I will definitely want to know what it's about, when it will be released, and you know, that type of thing. I may or may not buy it right away, but sooner or later I'll probably buy it or get it at the library and, you know, give it a read. So that's it. Now, this took a little while, but that's okay. I hardly really ever make a long video, so I hope I got to everything. If not, let me know, and I will definitely get to your question. So look in the description for the countless links that are going to be in there that I'll be adding. And as always, I thank you for watching. I thank you for subscribing. I thank you for commenting. Thanks again for 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for your questions. 1,000 and beyond. Let's go. Thank you so much for watching.